Hello everyone, welcome to this video on LeetCode data analysis. You might have found yourself preparing for LeetCode interviews, but you're unsure how to optimize your interview prep strategy, what topics to focus on, what problems to focus on, and how can you optimize your time in focusing on the right problems to practice, right? So in this video, we have analyzed LeetCode problem set data, the difficulties, the topics, the companies who ask those problems, and we will present those insights in this video so that you can learn from them and optimize your LeetCode interview strategy. So with that, let's get started. So what we'll cover submissions by difficulty level, like what difficulty level are others focusing on. We'll cover acceptance rates by difficulty level. So how are questions easy or hard to solve based on the difficulty level? Like how much do they actually vary? We will look at difficulty levels by company. So based on the company, what type of questions do they like to ask? Do they like to ask easy questions, medium questions, hard questions, and so on? We'll look at a specific section focused on questions that are asked by FAANG. We'll analyze those questions because you might want to get that job in one of the FAANG companies, right? So we'll have topic distribution across different levels for the problems asked by FAANG, so you can know what topics to focus on. We look at topic distribution by company across these FAANG companies. What topics are they asking? We'll look at also the top, highest, and lowest acceptance rate problems by difficulty level. So within easy, what is the highest acceptance rate problem? Same for medium and hard, so that you can maybe start your preparation with those types of problems, get a confidence boost. And then we'll also show the lowest acceptance rate problems so that you can maybe prepare a little bit before you get to them, and then when you get to them, you try to sort of nail them, and that will also give you confidence before you go into your interview. So with that, let's just get started. So the data set that I used, it contains approximately 1900 problems. I know there are over 3400 problems right now on LeetCode, but a lot of them are new, and a lot of them maybe are not actually asked by companies. But the data set was updated 2023, so it's still, I think, fairly accurate. And the number of submissions that we analyze is almost 475 million. So we have quite a big, substantial data set here to draw some insights. So let's look at submissions by difficulty level. Like what sort of problems are people focusing on? So, for the easy difficulty, we found that actually 26% of problems in our data set were easy, 53% were medium, and 21% were hard. So we have a lot of medium problems in the data set. And then submissions shows you where people are actually focusing their time because they're actively submitting those. So you have 36.5% of submissions are easy, 51.4% of submissions are medium, and 12% of submissions are hard. So a lot of people are really focusing their time on that medium tier with 51.4% of submissions. I know there are more medium questions, but still, people would still choose to solve the easy questions, right? So we do see a lot of submissions there in the medium and not so many in the hard. And acceptance rate. So across these difficulty levels, what is the acceptance rate? Like acceptance rate is when you submit a solution, how often does LeetCode accept it as the correct solution? So for easy, it's 52.3%. For medium, a little lower at 44.5%. And for hard, as expected, it's the lowest at 37.7%. So across all the submissions, these are the acceptance rate per difficulty level. Now let's get a little bit more interesting. So let's look at difficulty level by companies, and by companies who asked 100 plus questions that were tagged in our data set. That's the first page. So here it is. If you look, like Amazon has asked 176 easy questions, 382 medium questions, and 132 hard questions, right? So a lot of focus on that medium for Amazon. Similar trend for Google, but we see a slightly more skewed towards hard compared to easy for Google. For Facebook, quite similar to Amazon, a heavy focus on medium questions, but more leaning towards easy. Microsoft, the same. Apple, a little bit more weight on the easy compared to the easy of other companies, but medium is still higher. And so on and so forth, right? So you can see like pretty much a lot of companies focus on medium, but depending on the company, some skew more towards easy, while others skew more towards hard for the remainder of the questions. Now, let's look at the next set of companies who had only 20 plus questions in our data set, but basically 20 to 70 questions they asked in our data set. So take this with a bit of a grain of salt because the sample size is a bit lower, but still you can see very heavy on the medium, right? Like all across here, you can see more than 50 to 75% on the medium. And for Yahoo, they tend more a bit towards easy. There's a bit balanced, but again, the data set is only 21 questions. So yeah, like the key takeaway here is, depending on the company, you can pick whether you focus secondarily on easy or hard, but primarily focus on medium questions. I think that is the key. So, okay, just to recap where we are in our agenda, right? We looked at submissions and acceptance rate by difficulty levels, and we looked at difficulty level by company, what type of questions they ask. So now let's pivot towards focusing on problems that FAANG companies ask, right? These like Apple, Facebook, Amazon, Google, Microsoft. So we look at these different things for specifically FAANG companies. Keep that in mind. So first, let's look at the topic distribution, right? Across all the difficulty levels, right? What topics are these FAANG companies asking? And this will help you sort of tailor your interview prep strategy to focus more on these topics, because these are actually the topics that companies are asking. So you have array, that's on top, 19.4%. Dynamic programming, strings. Over here you see trees and depth first search, greedy algorithms, binary search, breadth first search. So overall these are sort of the top topics, and then you have union find is my least favorite, by the way. So yeah, I'm glad to see this all the way here. Only 2% of questions asked by FAANG had union find. So yeah, this is more of the topics, and know that topological sort very infrequent, like very very infrequent, only 6. So a lot of people I know spend time learning topological sort, but based on the data, not a lot of FAANG companies ask it. It does happen, but maybe not as often. Now let's look at the easy question. So that was the overall combined difficulty topic distribution. Now let's look at only for the easy questions which FAANG asked. What is the topic distribution? So as you would expect, again, array and strings on top, dynamic programming way down here, because that is not easy. While in the overall set, you saw dynamic programming quite up there, but it's not an easy question. So if you're trying to prepare more for easy questions, you don't really need to focus on dynamic programming. Again, arrays on top, it's actually even more, 33.4% for easy questions. So definitely arrays and strings seem to be the first things you should learn. Trees, two-pointer sets, binary search, all up there in up to 5% of problems. Now let's go to medium. So medium distribution, again, array drops from 33% to just 19% because, probably a lot of array questions are easy. But dynamic programming comes way back up with 13%. Again, strings is still up there, trees, depth first search, greedy. So, if you're trying to prepare for medium questions, which, as we saw in the earlier data set, like a lot of companies, prioritize medium questions. This is a good sort of topic set to be prepared for, right? And, we continue the list, two-pointer stack, linked list lower down the list, sliding window, try, and again, topological sort, all the way down here, union find. It's still in the middle-ish, but again, just 2%. So good to see that down there. Feel free to pause the video anytime if you want to sort of take a deeper look at this data. Now, for hard questions, so again, we saw some of the companies tend more towards the hard over the easy. So what topic should you be preparing for if you are trying to prepare for hard questions? So dynamic programming shoots right up that list, right? 35%. And arrays just goes down at only 5% because, a lot of hard questions have dynamic programming, depth first search, binary search, breadth first search. So yeah, like if you are preparing for maybe like a Google, which, obviously the majority is medium, but then they tended more towards hard over easy. Dynamic programming is up there, right? Like companies do ask dynamic programming, unfortunately or fortunately. And then, yeah, this is the continuation of the list. And again, feel free to pause the video anytime if you want to take in this data a bit more slowly. So now let's look at topic distribution for Google. Like if you're preparing for a specific company like Google, Amazon, Facebook, I'm going to show you the topic distribution across those specific companies. So again, dynamic programming, since Google tended more towards hard, it's up there. But surprisingly, array is also up there, right, at 95. So a lot of their medium questions probably are more on arrays and strings, and depth first search, trees, binary search, breadth first search, still up there in the list. And yeah, this is the rest of the list: graphs, union finds, recursion, and so on. Now, when you look at Amazon, arrays is over dynamic programming. So it seems like Google is the one who likes dynamic programming a lot. Amazon, you have arrays, depth first search, hash tables, breadth first search, binary search. So yeah, the other topics, pretty much a similar mix of topics in the top 10. And then here is the remaining of the list if you want to sort of go through this. And then Facebook. Facebook is a bit lower, easier on dynamic programming, but they have arrays, strings, trees, depth first search on the top, which is a lot of graph, tree, string manipulation type of problems. Then we see dynamic programming and breadth first search as well here in the top 10, along with binary search as well. So yeah, this is Facebook, and this is the remaining of the list for Facebook. Again, topological sort right down there. I know a lot of people spend time on topological sort, but it's not very frequently asked. So how about for others, right? Like this was Google, Amazon, Facebook, but maybe there's Uber and there's like maybe other data sets. Just drop it in the comments if you have any requests for different ways to look at this data, different things you want to know from this data for your interview prep. Put it in the comments. I will do the analysis and I will reply to your comment. So yeah, we covered now, again, just going back to our agenda, we covered topic distribution across difficulty levels. We covered topic distributions by company. Now let's look at the top highest and lowest acceptance rate problems by difficulty level, again, asked by FAANG, because we want to focus on questions that actually show up in interviews, right? So again, highest acceptance rate problems are for you to sort of get a boost. If you're starting with that difficulty level, it gives you a confidence boost because it is a problem that the acceptance rate is high. So people seldom fail that problem. And then on the lowest acceptance rate problems, it's for you to sort of save them for after you've done comprehensive preparation and then see if you can solve them, right? So that will give you a confidence boost before your interviews if you're actually able to solve these questions. So let's start with easy. What is the top acceptance rate problem in easy? So with an acceptance rate of 90.45%, it's LeetCode 1119, which is removing vowels from string. You're given a string, you have to find all vowels and remove them. So just good start on string manipulation, iterating through the string, and it just gets you really warmed up. I have a notebook where you can actually practice LeetCode questions. The link is in the description. So if as you practice these problems that I'm about to show you and practice for your interview, you might want a notebook to do a structured approach. I have the link in the description. The details of the notebook are in Amazon. It sort of gives you a template to guide you solve those problems. Now let's look at the medium category. For medium, I picked two top acceptance rate problems. So at second place with an acceptance rate of 91.23%, note that this is higher than the top acceptance rate easy problem, but it is 1570 dot product of two sparse vectors. I know this is a premium question, but basically you need to implement a class that initializes a sparse vector, optimize it knowing that it's sparse, and provide a function to do a dot product between two vectors. This is a good way to sort of write some efficient code and get warmed up with some math operations as well. So again, no, these are only questions asked by FAANG that I'm considering here. So you might say, hey, like I see this other question where the acceptance rate is higher, but again, I'm focusing on questions that actually show up in FAANG interviews. And at the first place for the top acceptance rate in the medium category with an acceptance rate of 94.49%, that's quite high. And again, these have substantial submissions. I checked that. So all of these have 25 to 30K plus submissions. So yeah, at first place, it's 1285, print immutable linked list in reverse. Again, this is a premium question, but you're given immutable linked list, and you need to print the values of this in reverse. So you don't actually have to reverse the list, but just print the values in reverse. So yeah, this is, again, a nice sort of warm-up problem. It's a little bit hard to mess up, but gets you familiar with linked lists and any other data structures that you use to solve this problem. Now let's go to the hard category. Like, what is the top acceptance rate problem in FAANG asked that is hard, right? So if you're solving hard questions, these are good questions to warm up to. For this one, I picked three problems. So again, at third place with an acceptance rate of 70.95%, and already lower than the easies and mediums we looked at with 90 plus acceptance rates. But again, these are hard questions. So the highest one is 78.95%, and that is 1028. Recover a tree from pre-ordered traversal. You're given a pre-ordered traversal, and I think you need to reverse engineer it to then construct the tree from it. So good combination of string parsing, trees, and it requires a good understanding of what a pre-ordered traversal is. So a lot of different pieces in this problem, and yeah, it is a good one. So at second place with an acceptance rate of 72.86%, again, still in the 70s, is LeetCode 489, right? So this is a robot room cleaner. All right, and then now let's look at the first place at the top acceptance rate problem for asked in FAANG in the hard category. So with an acceptance rate of 77.08%, again, it's not in the 90s like we saw for easy and medium. The first place is 77.08%. This is LeetCode 980 Unique Paths 3. And maybe this is high because, people do 1 and 2, and then by the time they get to 3, they sort of get the hang of it. But, this is a good problem to sort of do different variations of the same problem, like unique paths 1, 2, and 3, so that you can get a full rounded picture of the problem statements. And now let's look at lowest acceptance rate problems, right? So these are problems that are harder or to get right within these different categories, and these are actually asked by FAANG. So you might want to save them for a little later in your preparation journey. So at third place on the easy for lowest acceptance rate with an acceptance rate of 29.12%, it's 859 body strings. So this is again a string based problem. And now at the second place with an acceptance rate of 27.43%. This is lower than the previous one because we're doing lowest acceptance rates. So this is an easy problem with an acceptance rate of 27.43%, which is 163 missing ranges. Basically, you're given a range and a sorted array, and you need to find all of the sub-ranges that are actually missing from the array, right? So this is maybe not that easy, but they've put it as an easy problem. And then the first place with an acceptance rate of 26.32%. This is the lowest acceptance rate in the easy category amongst problems asked by FAANG. This is LeetCode 7, reverse integer. This is the 7th problem on LeetCode, and I think there are some edge cases and things that make this hard to get right. So this requires you to have a good understanding of the data types and just dealing with edge cases when you write code. Okay, so now let's go to the medium category. So at second place with an acceptance rate of only 17.1%, this is already lower than our easy category. It's LeetCode 29 divide two integers. So you need to basically implement a division, get the quotient. And at first place, this is the lowest acceptance rate problem asked by FAANG in the medium category with an acceptance rate of only 15.57%. It's LeetCode 8, string to integer. So we saw LeetCode 7 earlier in the easy, and we have LeetCode 8. Like, these are two brutal questions. And again, a lot of edge cases and making sure you comprehensively understand all the scenarios and create correct code is key over here. So now let's go to the hard category. These are the lowest acceptance rate problems asked in FAANG that are hard. Again, already beating our medium category at third place with an acceptance rate of only 16.62%. We have LeetCode 65 valid number. And this is a problem that I have covered in my channel, so I will have a pop-up here over here. So if you want to go and watch that later on, you can open that in a different tab and watch that video. The second place in lowest acceptance rate with an acceptance rate of only 15.02% in the hard category asked by FAANG. It's LeetCode 1622 fancy sequence. So again, it's writing an API that implements a certain number of operations, and you need to consider high numbers as well. So again, this is a problem that requires a variety of different topics, problem-solving skills. So yeah, structure this later in your preparation journey. And then the top one, lowest acceptance rate problem asked by FAANG in the hard category, or just overall, because it is, the lowest acceptance rate problem with an acceptance rate of only 13.88%. It's LeetCode 420, strong password checker. This is, again, string manipulation question, which requires you to understand the rules and implement them correctly. So again, thank you so much for watching. I hope this video gave you some insights on how to optimize your LeetCode journey. If you have additional requests for different data, drop the request in the comments. If you're going to prepare for interviews and you need a notebook, you need a structured approach, I have a notebook with a template, and it also has examples of how you can use that template. The link is in the description. Check it out if you want to. And yeah, please subscribe, like, and share my channel if you enjoyed this video. So with that, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.